Hi, I'm Sister Margaret Ann. I'm a Mantellate Sister Servant of Mary. I live in Plainfield, Illinois, on 100 acres of land with a lake. I live in a convent with 7 other sisters.
And what was it like for you growing up, sister?
Growing up, I grew up on the far south side of Chicago, and when I say far south side, I mean we're almost to the Calumet Park border. I went to St. Catherine of Genoa school because the other schools I couldn't go to that were Catholic because they were Polish schools and Lithuanian schools, and they taught the language, so I went to St. Catherine's. We had a lot of fun as children growing up. But in the 60s, as you looked at different things in our society, we were a family in the neighborhood. People looked out for one another, and that was important to us. But in the later 60s, things started to change. Drugs came onto the scene, the hippies were there. We also had racism that was very predominant in the late 60s, which really tore up our society, and I don't think we knew how to handle it very well.
So, how did you know that God was calling you to religious life?
Well, that's a story. I did not know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I was a junior in high school, and my counselor said to me, "What are you going to do? You're going to go to college?" I had no desire to go to college. I always thought my friend and I would open up a flower shop. But as a teenager, there was no way I was going to open up a flower shop. That was not going to happen. So she said to me one day, her name was Sister Marguerite. She said, "Did you ever think about being a sister?" And I laughed. And I said, "A sister? You've got to be kidding me. I'm not that holy. I have a good time." And she says, "I know very well you have a good time, but that's who God calls, people who are fun-loving and want to be one with Him and other people." So I went ahead and I thought about it. She told me I should look at different orders, and I looked at the Sisters of Mercy because I had them in grammar school, and that didn't talk to me. And I looked at a couple of different orders, Franciscan orders, and that didn't talk to me. And I said to her, "Sister, why can't I just enter your order?" And she says, "Well, why would you want to enter my order?" And I said, "Sister Marguerite, because you guys are always here for us. You're always there after school for us. You're fun-loving. If we have a problem, you sit and talk to us." So that's why I entered the Mantellate Sisters. Some people think I entered the Mantellate Sisters because it was an Italian order. I had no idea that it was an Italian order. But those sisters spoke to me, and they gave me the strength to know what I wanted. But in reflecting further back into my vocation, I would have to say my 5th grade teacher, Sister Rosella Marie, was the biggest influence in my life. She was a sister who had just taken her final vows and came to teach us, and she just had so much love for us. She read stories of the saints to us. She made us have competitions to collect money for the missions. She just held us in her hands. So I would have to say my vocation probably started in 5th grade, but didn't come to fruition until my junior and senior year in high school with the guidance of Sister Marguerite.
So, what are the charisms of your religious order?
The Mantellate Sisters is a congregation under the umbrella of the Order of Servants of Mary. We're called Servites here in the United States, and our charism is to stand at the foot of the cross just as Mary did, because we're a Marian community. So what I do and what we do here at the convent is that when people have troubles and they need someone to talk to, we open up our doors to let them come and talk to us. Because I work at St. Anne's Parish in Oswego, I do a lot of talking to people who have lost someone, or people who are struggling with their issues of life. So it's things like that that I try to do for people so that they feel one, because Mary stood at the cross and she had the compassion she needed to have for the people around her, even though she stood for those 3 hours and watched her son die. And so we stand with people and walk the journey with them.
What are some of the responsibilities in your order, or what is your order maybe known for?
Our order is a teaching order and a nursing order. Here in the United States, we're basically teachers. Um, I taught at Providence Catholic for 16 years. I taught at St. Denis in Lockport for 3 years. I was a pastoral associate at St. Mary's in Plainfield for 8, and I have now been at St. Anne's in Oswego for 17 years. In teaching and in the ministry that I do is what our foundresses did. They went up to a hillside in Florence, Italy, and they were to teach the people religion, and they were to teach the people a trade. So the sisters took on the trade of teaching the women how to sew, and the children would come, and so the catechesis was done.
Which saints have influenced you on your faith journey and how?
So this you will probably laugh about, but I used to say the chaplet to St. Anne. And the reason I started the chaplet to St. Anne, because Anne is my confirmation name. It's a name that I chose. So I would always say to St. Anne, good St. Anne, get me a man. And look where it led me to. It led me to be one with her grandson, Jesus. And that's one of the saints that I looked at very carefully because she was the mother of the Blessed Mother. And she had to have the strength and courage to walk beside her daughter when she was pregnant, to walk with Joseph and Mary when they got married, and to know the agony of not seeing her grandchild grow up in their little town or village. So she showed me the courage and stamina that a woman would need in a society that didn't always accept women as a leading role. The other saint would be our Blessed Mother. My own mother had a great devotion to Mary, and we would pray the rosary at home, different things. But what my mother taught me, and I think in what the Blessed Mother did, is she always went out to other people. And in going out to other people, then we are Christ to them. And that's standing with them at their crosses in good times and bad.
So what advice do you have for someone who's discerning religious life?
I would say religious life is a vocation. It's a way of life that you live. It's a life of prayer. It's a life of giving to others as Jesus would do. I would say that anybody who's discerning religious life is to go talk to someone. Don't keep it to yourself. Find someone who will help you find the way to religious life. It's a vowed life of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But I'm sure I had a longer engagement period than anybody's parents. I took my first vows in 1970, and I didn't take my final vows until 1976. I don't think anybody has had that long of an engagement period for marriage. They get engaged, and a year later they're married. But come and see what we're like. If you have questions, come to the convent and say, I'd like to talk to you. We're just a stone's throw away from Holy Family, so come and see. Come and talk.
Thank you.